Hi guys, welcome back to Crash Course. And right now, what I'm going to be teaching is under Cascading Sky Sheet is the CSS. It's the CSS grid, the grid layout module. So first of all, we did the Flexbox and we also did the project using Flexbox. So right now, I'm going to be teaching you what the grid is all about. As I said in our last class, the Flexbox is a two-dimensional layout, while the grid is what? Three-dimensional layout. It's a three-dimensional layout in a way that whenever you want to design something on the web and you want it to appear in rows and columns, you could actually specify them in two-dimensional layout using the grid system. So right now, with no much talk, let's just dive into practical examples so that you guys are going to see. So right now I'm creating a new file here. I'm still using that folder. So in this file, I'm going to name it grid.html, and I'm pressing the enter key. So right now I'm pressing my shift key and the press tab or the enter key. As far as you have all those extensions, so I'm changing the title here. So let me change the title here to grid learning. So in our body tag, let me create some div. So I'm going to add div times 8. So grid times 8. So in this place, let me just put something inside, some few text. Grid learning. So I'll copy this text and paste it in all. Ctrl C, and I'll paste it in each grid I've created. Ctrl V. So I'm pasting it. So you guys are going to see this. Ctrl V. So right now I'm going to create a parent div that is going to contain all div. So let me copy all these div I've actually created down beneath. I'm copying all this. Ctrl C. I'm pasting it inside here. Ctrl V. So let me give this a class of grid container. So I'm giving it a class of grid container. So right now we are going to implement and see how the grid system work here. So right now I'm going to apply the property that will make this particular thing you are seeing here. So let me open this in the browser, open with live server. So this is what we are actually seeing here. Let me put it here. Let me put this here also. Let me reduce this side. Canceling all so that you can have a better view. So look at this right now. So we are going to apply the internal style CSS cascading style sheet here. So in the head tag, so I'm going to write style and press my tab key. So right now I'm going to be putting the grid system. If you should recollect, if you want to make something flex, we are going to write display flex when you are using Flexbox here, but here we are using grid. So right now I'm going to put .grid container. This is a class of .grid container. Right? So if I put display flex, so this is a flex mode, but that's not what we are using. So what we are doing is grid. So I'm going to put grid, display grid. So display grid. So in this grid, I'm going to have a padding. I'm going to have a padding. So I put in display grid. So let me add padding to this. Yes. I'll write it for you. Display grid. So the other one also that we actually created, we created class of, I'm meant to create class, but let's first of all design this. So grid template. So grid template. Let me give this a grid template. grid templates, grid template column, give a grid template column. This is one of the properties. So I'm going to write auto yep, auto. So I'm now going to add background. If I should apply one more to this place, if I apply one more to this place, let me add another grid here. So you will see that it will be 3. If so, grid learning. So you are seeing it. So right now, let's give all this grid here a class. So let me give it the class of grid item. Class of grid item. So I'm going to paste this class on everything. So let me just copy this, Ctrl C, and paste it in each div. I didn't copy the class, so let me go back and recopy it so that you guys are going to have a better view. So let me copy from here down to this place, Ctrl C, and I'm going to be pasting it here, space, Ctrl V, come to the next one, space, Ctrl V, like that. So I'm taking this very slow so that everyone taking this course will understand what I'm doing. So I'm applying the class to every div we've created. No? Don't know why it's not copied. Let me copy it again. T here to be. So right now we've applied our class to it. So the one up, let me give you the background color. The background color of aqua. So I actually give the background color of aqua, and let's add some padding of 15 pixels to all sides. 15 pixel. Yep. So I've added padding. So the next one I'm going to be doing is designing this grid item. So period, that's dot, grid item. So here I'm going to apply border of 2 pixel solid. Which color should I give it? Red. So there's been a border attached to all. So let me give it a padding. This padding will apply to both all sides of 20 pixel. So you are seeing what I'm doing. Font size of 35 pixel. So you can see this. So let me also apply, let me add one grid to make it look more meaningful. So I'm going to apply one grid. Yeah, Ctrl S. Let me count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Apply another one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. Yeah. So it's 11. 12. Yeah, 12. So right now, let me also add background color to differentiate this particular grid located from the grid container, to differentiate them. So let me add the background color of yellow. Wow, superb. So that is nice. So as you've seen and I've said, when you are trying to apply the grid property, you are going to put what? Display grid. So let's try some other things. Let me change the display to inline grid and see how it looks like. Let me change it to inline grid. You can also add that property, so that will be added to the top. So let me change this to inline grid. I'm changing this right now to inline grid. Yes, inline grid. Yes, content. Yeah, it still showed no much difference. So this is just to make a container. That's what this is just doing, just to make a container also. So let me type it again. Line B line. So you can also do that instead of applying the grid. So same thing. So the next property that I want us to see is to apply column to our grid. You can apply grid column, you can also apply grid row, and you can also apply grid gap. What's the grid column for? Is to apply what the vertical line of grid items are called columns. So that vertical line that you create are called what? Columns. The horizontal line will be what? Row. While the space between them will be what? Column. You guys understand the other concept? The vertical line is called what? Grid column. The horizontal is called row, while the gap is called grid gap. So without no further delay, let me apply the column gap. So let's apply a column gap to this. So here, let me apply a column gap. Column gap of 50 pixels. You've seen it. So this is vertical. Do you understand the concept? So this right now is giving the space in a what? Vertical way. It's breaking it right now into what? Vertical, giving vertical spacing between the grid that we've actually created. So to make this thing make more sense, let me put text align center here. Center. Yes. So your eyes will be able to, the visibility will be okay. So right now we've added a column gap of 50, right? So the next property that I want us to see is the row gap. So that row gap, let's apply it. This is the horizontal. So we are going to apply row gap here. So row gap of what? 50 pixels. You've seen it. So you see how things have been created on this. So I'm applying this, so you guys are going to be looking at how things are created. So imagine you want to create something and you want it to be in box. Either you use the flex or the word grid. So it all matters down on what you want to create. I actually determine that. But if I should remove this column gap, it will only be in that horizontal fully. Look at this horizontal. The space is what? Horizontal. It's as a result of the 50 pixel. If I make it very small, so it depends on the gap you want. Let's make this 100. You see that it will be very big. Look at. If I make it 2 pixel, it's very small. That space is too shallow. So let's take it back to 50 pixel. So you've seen this. This is the horizontal. This is the horizontal. And the normal one that we actually said was the gap. That one is just to apply space between each column rows. Between each column and row. So right now, let's just give it a gap. So right now, we'll just place the gap property between it. So let me cancel this and apply gap to it. Gap of 50 pixel, 100 pixel. Wow, this gap should be enough. Okay, but let me just apply a gap of 50 pixel. Let's see. Gap of 50 pixel. This is okay. This is okay. So you've seen it. This gap property, if you notice, is aligned to both the horizontal and the vertical, just using gap. But if you want it to be in row, that's horizontally, you just apply what? Row gap. If you want it to be vertically, you apply what? Vertical what? Gap. You understand? So it's the vertical that you are going to apply if you want, is the column gap that you are going to apply if you want it to display vertically. If you want the row, the gap to be in rows, you apply the row gap. And if you want the gap to be both horizontal and vertically, that's when you just apply only the gap property. That's when you apply only what? Gap property. So right now, without furthermore no ado, so let's talk about the grid lines. So those lines between columns are called columns lines. The lines between rows are called row lines. So let's just assume that we've created our grid system, grid example here. I want to apply those properties to it. So let me just give one class. Just assume for just one class of the property, just one. We're not applying it to everything. So just one. Let me cancel everything here. Cancel everything here. Cancel the padding. Oh, should I cancel the padding here? Okay, yeah, let me cancel the padding here. Cancel the padding. Cancel everything. So right now, what I'm going to apply here is not directly all this. So what I've cancelled here, I'm going to apply it to the top one. So it's going to just have little fill that is similarly different from that. So let me come here and apply a new property. So let me give it the grid container. This grid container. This is the descender selector. Div. So background color yellow. So yellow. Grid property is still showing there. So I've applied the background color of yellow. So which other thing should I apply? Let me apply padding top and bottom, 20 pixel and 0 left and right. This is okay. Font size 30 pixel. So if you can see, the only thing here I didn't apply here is the border. It's a border I didn't apply here. I didn't apply any border here. So right now, let's apply just to only one item. Just to one item. So let me put item 1, grid item 1. Grid item 1. So because if I should apply that property to it, it's going to be on all. So let me put grid item 1 here. So in this one, I'm going to be applying a particular property that is going to extend this in rows and columns. So let me apply a grid column start of 1, grid column start, column start of 1, and grid column end, grid column end, column end of 3. So you've seen this. It starts at column 1. You are seeing it. Let me put text align center to make this thing look more. Yeah, text align center. Yes. So you are seeing it now. It starts here and span across this to what? To the column end on this column of what? 3. So that's how it works. Whenever you use this property, you will want to design something and you want it to expand across the column, just one, you can just go determine kind of rows and columns you have and decide to start anywhere. So let me move it to 4. You are seeing it. It takes everything entirely. So let me push this to 2. You've seen it. It starts at what? 2. and ends at what? 4. So I'm changing this so that you guys are going to understand. So imagine you don't want it to start here, you want it to start at 2. So you pick it up at 2 and you move it to span across to the head at what? 4. So that's how it works. And you can make sure that you go online and also read, as I've always said. So let me recap again so that you guys are going to understand. The first property we first of all did is the grid. And that is a short property in which you want to make any div that you've created or any content that you've created on your HTML to become what? A grid system. So you first thing for that are going to write is display grid. Let me cancel this inline grid so that you guys will understand. Still the same thing, but grid is the best. So after that, we did column gap, and that's why I said it specifies the gap between the word column, and that is what? Vertically, right? Why the normal gap? It specifies the row between what? Rows and column. This gap that we use here specifies the what? Gap between rows and column. So this will apply to both sides. But the row gap, it applies to only what? Just the row. You understand? It applies to what? Just the row. And you have to understand the fact that the grid system is different from the what? The flexbox system. As I said, the grid system is what? 2-dimensional layout, while the flexbox is what? 1-dimensional layout. So I also said again in this course that the grid system and flexbox system came up as a result of how developers were coding back then, and it was very hard for them to use the float system. So those times design are always tough for them to implement. So that's why they came up with a system which they call what? Grid and flexbox system. So let me apply some properties to this grid. So let me put this and let me cancel this property. Let me cancel this. So make sure you save it. So I will just cancel it. No, let me not do like that. Let me put it in form of what are they calling it? Form of comment. So right now I'm going to apply something here. So I'm going to apply justify content. Center. So you've seen it. It justified the content to the center. So let me apply some here. Space evenly, space around. See. So another one I'm going to apply is space evenly. So the space within them are going to be the same. We are seeing it. Every space around or every content here, they are the same thing. No difference. Both the top, the bottom, everything. So at your free time, you can just go online, practice more, and understand. So right now, we are not done with the grid system. I just want us to go on a little break, and when we come back, we'll see a few properties before we'll do our project, because we are almost approaching the end of CSS right away.